Okay, so we're going to look at today how to create these two dice and do this animation. So you see we've got two dice, which is cubes that are designed with all the dots on. They hit the surface and roll. So first thing we're going to do is create one of your dice. Start from a brand new Blender file, and we will use the cube that's already here because this will be absolutely fine for our purposes. And first off, remember to change to cycles render. Now you can go file and save startup file. This will definitely work on your own computer when you've got admin rights or anything like that. If you're in a school environment, this may not work, but I'm going to save startup file for now. What we need to do to this cube is we need to subdivide it, and that means cut it into lots of little squares. To do that, I need to go into edit mode, or just press tab to go to edit mode, and subdivide is in the tools menu up here, and subdivide, or the shortcut, if the mouse is over the top of it, is W subdivide. And we can choose how many cuts we need, and I'm going to go for 4, because that will give us enough different squares to create our dots. Next thing we need to do is choose face select. Now this means we'll be able to select just a single face. We've got 3 options down here. One of them is vertex selection, and it will allow you to click one of the vertices. You've got edge selection, which is just the edges, and face selection. If you ever do what I did there and accidentally move it, press escape, top left of the keyboard, and it will stop whatever you've just done. So, what I need to do is select the sides and the dots that I need. And what I'm doing is to make sure I can hold more than one, is I press shift while I'm selecting. So I'm holding down shift and selecting more. And you remember that on opposite sides of the dice, they add up to 7. So there was 4 that side. So I'm going to do 3, 5 on that side. I'm going to do 2 here, and 6 on the top. So I do 1 on the bottom. Now, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to extrude these faces. And what extrude means is it pulls them either in or out from where they are. Okay, kind of like stretching them like Play-Doh. And I'm going to do it in a very specific way. On the tools menu, it's got extrude region and extrude individual. Now, extrude region is if you just press E on the keyboard, it's going to do it. If I press that, it's going to move all in a specific way, which really isn't what I want. Okay, undo that. Instead, I need to extrude individual. Okay, if I click on extrude individual, and all I'm going to do is press enter, not move the mouse at all. Now that means they'll stay exactly where they are, but create a new face over the top of where the other ones were before. You'll see there's an extra dot around the outside of each of these, which shows there's a face on top of another one. What I'm going to do with this is down here where the viewport setting is, it's got pivot setting for rotation and scaling. Now this means that when I scale it, when I drag it, it's going to be based on its own individual origins, rather than being of the whole area or the median points, so like an average middle point. It's going to pick the individual origins. So each of these is going to scale based on their own center. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to scale each of these. So S for scale. And I'm not even going to, I could move the mouse. You see it's moving bigger, smaller. I want to be quite exact here. So on the keypad, I'm going to put point or full stop 8. And you'll see it's moved a tiny bit smaller, and just underneath the viewpoint it said scale X equals 0.8, and then Y equals 0.8, and Z equals 0.8. So it's going an exact amount, so I can do exactly how much I want. And then I'm going to extrude individual again. And I'm going to do minus 0.05. Minus means it's going to go inwards rather than outwards, which is exactly what we want for this shape. So you'll see our first extrude created a square on top of it. Our scale made it a bit smaller, which is what these lines are suggesting. Then the final extrude put this face a bit further back. So you've actually got the shapes. Now the reason we've done all these extra extrusions, things like that, rather than just put dots on, is that otherwise they would merge in together. It would look silly. And it's the same with what we're about to do now, which is the subdivision surface. Now, we'll do this in a minute or so. But subdivision surface, if I click this, it smooths things out. So I'm going to actually put them on 4 and 4, which is more than enough for what we need. If you put that too high, the computer probably will crash. And you'll see you've got nice circles, because what it does, if I apply this, I'm going to undo it in a second. Oh, it won't let me. So let's go apply. You see it's subdivided the surface into lots and lots of very small squares. Okay, so that is what it's doing. I'm going to undo that because I don't want that to be on at the moment. Now, we should have all of these still selected. If you don't, you're going to have to reselect them. But if you've selected all of the central faces, after that you have to go select and select more. And what that's going to do is it's going to select this middle one and the 4 outside it. So everything you've got selected, it'll select one more of everything next to it. So if it's got a border with it, it'll select it. And what we're going to do is create our materials. We've got one material in here already, which is going to be our white plastic. Use nodes. And I'm going to use the principal BSDF. Now we'll go into this a little bit more in the next video. I'm just going to do a basic setup now. And we're going to make this white all the way to the top. Now principal BSDF just allows you to do a lot more. Every single shader can be done with the principal BSDF. The video on how it works by Blender Guru is fantastic. Make sure you look at it if you're into sorting out your textures and materials. But for now we'll set it as white. And we want a second one. So I'm going to plus, new, and call it black plastic, or black dots, because they are the dots. Principal BSDF again, and this one's going to be black. Now at the moment, even though they're selected, everything is still kind of white. If I assign those ones that we've done are going to be black. Everything else is going to be the white plastic. Now, if we go to the modifier and go back to the subdividing surface, I said about before, put it up to 4, and there we go. You don't actually need to apply it, it'll still work even without being applied. And that is how we make our dice. I'm going to save it now, save as dice tutorial. You save this in your X drive or wherever's relevant for you. Save this Blender file up here, and this is where we're going to pick up from in the next video.